I used to have security so that the girls could take off the abayas to train. So no men were allowed to ever see them. Um, so that Qatar glass court that you see, we could lock the girls in there and train them. But I was, I just wanted a bit more.
Here we are with another Boast About It. I'm here with Adel Sammons, new coach here at Open Squash. Adel, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Always great to have another female pro here. Let's start at the beginning. I always love to find out, how did you first start playing squash? How old were you? What happened?
I had an older brother who played squash, so I was around it a lot.
How much older was he?
7 years older. He was a good squash player, and we grew up in a small town in South Africa. And there was one club called the Secunda Club, and that's where we hung out after school if we weren't doing other things. So I sort of hung around the squash courts, but I played other sport at school. So it was netball, it was track, field hockey, swimming, anything I could get my hands on. And then squash was sort of something my family did outside of all of that.
Was not the primary thing.
No. And then, towards high school, I took it a little more seriously. And I played provincially in South Africa. And I think I was 16, I decided I wanted to really go for the South African team and try and make it. And so I put in some hard work, and, I sort of progressed from a C team to a B team to the A team. I think within 2 years, I was top 10 in the country.
Nice.
Yes, I just wanted to do it and trained.
Wow. And so now you're top 10 in the country, aged 18?
Yeah, so it was under 19.
Then you went to university.
Yes, so I went to University of Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Great place for squash. We won all 4 years, the national.
Where were you playing on the team? 1, 2, 3, 4?
I started probably, I think, 4 or 5, and towards the end at 1. Some people, we had a really strong team. Our whole team was like number ones from all over the country.
What attracted all of the greatest, apparently, female squash players in South Africa to play at your school?
We had a manager called Ilse. At the time, she recruited us. I got a scholarship, so that's where I went.
So you went after it. My understanding is you did not go pro right after that, right?
No.
So you graduated from university, and what did you study at university?
I studied sports management, wanting to be a biokineticist, basically. I love body mechanics, sports massage, all of that stuff.
And then what did you do after university?
After university, I moved to England, and I got a job, a guy called David Morgan, who opened up a squash academy in a small village called St. Ives.
So you became then a coach in England? Is that what you were doing?
I worked a little bit as a coach, but David was the first one to say, why don't you try play some pro events?
Yeah.
So I met some other girls, and I practiced with them and thought, well, if they sort of encouraged me to play. And I think the 3 of us played some tournaments together.
And your highest ranking was 53, which is unbelievably impressive. Top 100 in the world, nearly top 50. But I have always thought as that level as being hard on the PSA tour, right? It's not, you don't become sort of a household squash name, maybe in South Africa, but, and there's not a ton of money in it. What was it like being sort of full-time on the pro tour in the sort of 50 to 60 range?
It was tough. It's tough. When you start out, that's why you have to have, well, I had to have other jobs. We weren't getting sort of any or much funding from South Africa. So, coaching, working in restaurants, I did bartending, working events, anything I could get my hands on. And that's how I sort of paid for things.
Yeah.
And, my first tournament was in Pakistan. So saved some money, went all the way there, managed to get ranking up a little bit. and it was hard. You know, you're the journeyman trying to break through. You know, saving money as much as you can, trying to make it work somehow.
When we were talking earlier, you said that one of the times you were on one of your matches on the Pro Tour, you played Nicol David. That must have been a lot of fun.
It was fun playing her.
Yeah, the most successful female squash player of all time. What would you describe as the difference between when you're playing someone like that and you're you? What's that like?
Well, I started so late, so I always felt like an outsider. One, because there aren't many South African girls, so I joined very late. I didn't really have other South Africans at the time to sort of travel with me or play together. And I just felt like I couldn't catch up. But you can't catch up with match experience. So playing at that level, at that pace, is what's tricky, I felt.
Even all the drilling and everything you do, there's a component of it that's just match play. And
I played a lot against boys and men growing up. And then I found sometimes when I played against women, it was different. It was completely different. They were good at taking the ball forward more, more tactical. And sometimes just hitting the ball slower. I wasn't used to that, adjusting to it.
That's my favorite trick when I play people. It's just
now I love
slow
it. At the time, I also grew up playing in altitude. In altitude, the ball just bounces and bounces, and so I had no shots. I was terrible at taking the ball forward. I just was very physical and loved hitting hard, deep shots.
So you were a retriever.
Retriever, and I was fit, so I knew I could outrun most people.
While you were on tour for those 2 years full time, as a percentage of your income, how much of it actually came from the Pro Tour?
Well, you spend all of that on your expenses.
Right. So really,
I was lucky in those 2 years. I got a flight sponsor and a clothing sponsor. So that was, better than most people. The most expensive thing is the flight.
And the hotel, I would imagine.
No, so once you're in the tournament, it's free hotel or billeting.
Oh.
So that's actually
okay.
a good thing about the squash tour.
So you've been playing on the tour for a couple of years. What did you decide to do next?
Well, I did CrossFit. I actually went into CrossFit.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Do you think CrossFit is good for squash?
If you modify it, yes, they are.
How would you modify CrossFit for squash?
Lighter weights. A lot of the exercises I wouldn't do is strain on the shoulders, unnecessary. You pick what works for the squash and then incorporate that into your exercises.
I have to talk because I do CrossFit.
Good. Well, I went as far as going to regionals in South Korea.
Oh, wow.
So I competed for about 2 years.
And I know there's a very impressive woman who's one of your heroes of squash fit.
Yes.
What's her name again?
Annie's Thorisdottir.
Yeah. She. I looked her up after you told me about her, and just wow.
Yeah, she's a
wow.
machine.
She's a machine. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I met her at the CrossFit Games. And
yeah.
She's impressive, nice person.
So you were in Qatar doing CrossFit. How long were you there for?
So I was in Qatar for 7 years. So pre-CrossFit, I was still in Qatar. I worked at the Qatar Federation. I was the female, call it national coach. So I was the only female coach.
And you were coaching their national team?
Well, trying to develop. Remember, these girls have never played.
Right.
We had about 2,000 girls in the program where we taught them fundamental movement skills. But there are so many restrictions for the girls, and that program no longer exists.
Oh,
so there's no female coach. There's.
Why did they shut it down?
Well, there was a change of leadership. The former emirs and his wife were very into promoting women, education, sport. And I think his son that took over is more traditional.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Just for the boys.
So they're still making the effort on the boys' side,
yes.
But not so much on the girls'.
And actually, that's where...
Is that one of the reasons you left?
It is. I did think, what am I doing? I need to feel like I have a purpose.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving back. And at the end of the day, I didn't feel that any of those girls were going to be able to compete.
Yeah.
So.
Well, especially without the support afterwards.
Well, yes, and the sort of covering, and I used to have security so that the girls could take off the abayas to train. So no men were allowed to ever see them. So that Qatar glass court that you see, we could lock the girls in there and train them. But I was, eventually, I was like, well, I don't know. I just wanted a bit more.
Yeah.
After Qatar, I actually moved back to Johannesburg.
Oh.
So I got a job as the head pro at the Johannesburg Country Club.
Was it fun to be home?
It was, but it was a little bit of a shock, actually, because I'd spent all my adult years in England and Qatar. I'd never actually worked in South Africa, and so it took a while to adjust again.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I, reconnected with everyone.
So you moved there, you loved it. Why did you decide to move on from that?
I felt frustrated with how far we could push things. We weren't getting far enough, and so I thought,
In what way?
Just within the squash community. I wasn't satisfied with just coaching at the country club. I wanted to maybe develop some athletes and just more opportunities to be amongst the best.
Yeah, we were talking beforehand, and I made that observation that you were number 53 in the world and number 4 in South Africa. I think that if you looked at a South African as number 53 in the world today, a woman, they'd probably be number 1 or 2. So
Yeah.
Things have definitely changed in South Africa. Is that, you think, part of the frustration that you felt while you were there?
Yes, at the time when I was back, there was no national coach. There was no training programs for, bringing people up. A lot of coaches left or didn't give back or, you have to make money. At the end of the day, you can't just give back and give back. There has to be some financial benefit to it. And so that's lacking in South Africa.
Right.
And a lot of coaches leave.
Are there any lessons for us to learn from that? Because here the sport is still growing.
Look after the athletes, help with funding, help them physically, physios, all that stuff. If you look at where some good athletes are from, Nicol, a lot of funding, a lot of help with coaches, trainers. If you have to pay for all of that, it becomes impossible.
Yeah, Nicol's from Malaysia, so if Malaysia can afford to do it, then most
Yeah.
countries can afford to do it.
I think corruption. But yeah.
You decided to move to the United States of America.
Yep.
Best city in the country, New York City. Good
I
shape.
thought I'd only be here for 2 years.
Oh, really? Where were you going to go?
I don't know. I like the countryside.
Do you have a place to escape to in the countryside?
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go.
Get out as much as possible.
All right. So now you're here at Open Squash. Thank you. I mean, our mission seems to align very much with the things that you want to do. We're looking to grow the sport.
Yeah.
We're looking to support people. We're a nonprofit. We're looking to spread the wealth, if you will. What plans do you have? What's your sort of vision for your future, and how will squash play a part of it?
I'd like, more girls at Open Squash,
We would too.
more champions, get the girls hungry, having female coaches, someone, if you see someone who's like you doing something, you believe you can do it.
Yeah.
Right? And that is how I got into squash, is how I got into CrossFit. Maybe recruiting some girls from schools, like bring your friend along, I don't know, like just trying to get more girls in the game.
What would you say to a young girl or young woman who is interested to play squash?
Come and try a great sport where you meet wonderful people and you can move your body and get all your frustrations out and compete.
Excellent. Adel, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you on court, and I want those CrossFit.
Oh, plenty of those.